All right. It's a little past 4:30. We'll call the meeting to order. Let the roll call show that Councilor Helene is absent. Second on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. I'm kind of skipping past the accept the agenda part, but we only have one thing on here, so we don't have it here. So Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Rum River Estates phases 3 and 4. We're at fee discussion.
Okay, so just kind of recap, at the last regular meeting of the city council, Mr. Briggs presented an argument to the council or requested the council direct staff to accept the payment of the fees that were identified in the checks that were dropped off and issue the building permit for phase 3. Staff indicated that it was not willing to do so because staff believed that all of the trunk fees and park dedication fees were on both phases need to be paid upfront for myriad reasons. At the conclusion of the meeting, staff set this special meeting and directed that myself and Mr. Briggs, try and explore options and see what options exist in the way of trying to move forward in a cooperative fashion that wouldn't run afoul of any laws and would, but also still protect the city with respect to receipt of the fees down the road at some point in time. We had some communication with Michelle recently, and Michelle had some really great ideas that had not occurred to me. I had some similar ideas, but not quite as simple as hers. But the recommendation at this point in time, wife is yelling at me. The recommendation at this point in time is this. Based on a thorough review of the history of the file in conjunction with our ordinance and the statute in question and related laws, I and we are comfortable moving forward in a way where we would accept the trunk fees and park dedication fees at the time of the issuance of the building permit. So 3 now, 4 down the road. The caveat to that, though, would be that there would have to be some sort of lien or restriction placed on what is phase 4 for those fees, the trunk fees, dedication fees, so that in the event Mr. Briggs doesn't move forward with phase 4, they're still there to be paid if there's a sale down the road. Or obviously, if he does move forward, then at the time of the issuance of the building permit there. So that's kind of where we are. The recommendation is that, or just the notification is that the staff is satisfied with moving forward. If the council is in agreement, we are satisfied moving forward in such a way that we accept the fees at the time of issuance of the building permit. That's part 1. But then part 2 is needing to ensure that those interests for phase 4 fees are paid. And I had a brief conversation with Mr. Briggs as he walked in here. I think he's had maybe 3 minutes to absorb this, and he's expressed some concerns about outright agreeing to it right now. But that's pretty much it. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer those to the best of my ability. Otherwise, if Michelle has anything, otherwise we turn it over to Mr. Briggs, and or if the council has questions of Mr. Briggs or other comments.
What is the difference between the lien that you mentioned or the deed restriction that you mentioned to me?
Those are just examples of document types. So basically, what I would recommend, or staff is recommending, that there be some type of recordable document against lot 2, which is phase 4, that someone who, let's say Mr. Briggs, the market doesn't work for him, or he decides to retire again and he wants to sell his interest in that lot, then basically it would show up on a title search. So that the person purchasing the lot knows that there are trunk fees and park dedication fees of a specific dollar amount outstanding. It then, you know, that person would either pay them or Mr. Briggs would, pay them when he, you know, if lot or phase 4 moves forward. And then we would just lift that, whatever that recordable document, we would just essentially record another document that said those are paid in full and there's no longer an encumbrance against the property. You know, typically you see liens or deed restrictions. It could be some other agreement, whatever we wanted to label it, just as long as it gets recorded, it protects us in terms of the property changing hands and, you know, somebody 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, not remembering, realizing, whatever, that there are still fees that are owed to the city.
Wouldn't the park dedication fees be a different amount though, based on what somebody would build there? Cause it's gonna be,
Potentially, that's assuming that, you know, this presumes that someone purchasing the lot would be doing the same project. So if, for example, let's say Mr. Briggs changes his mind or moves on, retires, and somebody purchases lot 4 and says, hey, I don't want to do 100 units. I want to replat lot 2 into something completely different. Then that replat would go through the process. We would then calculate fees on a new subdivision or a new development. And one of the things we'd have to do is we would have to lift that, whatever agreement was on there, as part of a new approval process. So there's ways to remove that. And yes, we're assuming that the next person is going to do the exact same thing, whether it's Mr. Briggs or Mr. Smith or whoever. But in the event that Mr. Briggs comes up with a different idea or Mr. Smith comes up with something different, we would just deal with that document at that time.
Mostly the document as a reminder that they haven't been paid.
Correct. The human memory is not infallible.
It doesn't have a timeline, so we could all be somewhere else within two.
Correct.
But, you know, future consular administration have to have nothing to work there.
Correct.
Mr. Briggs, anything to say?
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor Walker.
That's your pen.
I don't know what one.
Our podium is over there. You, Pat,
Yes,
can I ask you a question?
yeah.
Do you have the Mylars already running?
I do.
To be here tomorrow morning?
Yeah, we're picking them up at 8 a.m.
Okay,
Let me, just to back up, we received correspondence from Damian yesterday morning at 10 a.m. with the options as council had suggested to come up with. And so we received the option from Damian yesterday morning at 10 a.m., which states that be willing to continue proceeding forward with removing phase 4 from the plat. And so we took that option that was given to us and we worked all day to come up with a solution that would be viable and the bank would accept it. You know, and then the city, of course, has proposed it. And so the county has already reviewed it. I believe Mr. Winsman's here to speak on that behalf. And for us, we prefer to go down that path for a number of reasons. Just as I stepped out of my car, Damian had come up with another right now, and we, of course, I don't have my attorney here, and this was the option that was provided, so we would have the Mylars here by 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. And the signatures would need to be Damian, I believe, is that right? City attorney, city attorney.
city attorney, the mayor, myself, and I think the planning commission chair needs to sign.
Yeah, and then
So,
our closing is at 1 p.m. tomorrow with US Bank. So that's and again, we, you know, I know I stressed this already, but we really do not want to go down an adversarial path with the city. That's something that we have no interest in doing. So we worked hard at trying to get this accomplished for all and hope we can proceed with that. I've got a copy of the,
One of the options we were encouraging was 30 days, so. I mean, if you're good with that, then we can get signatures.
here's a copy of all we did was remove phase 4.
yeah, you just changed it from a lot to an outlot.
Yeah, oh, let's see.
The concern was that would never get done in time.
Pardon me?
That was a big concern that would never get done in time.
They've got done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we would remove it and be able to proceed forward. That was the option that council has
Right.
given us.
No, I'm just saying, you and your banker last week said that there's no way that would be done in time for the closing. So I'm happy. I'm just surprised that it's done.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. I just remember something about a 30-day discussion and I don't know if I was capturing all of it, so that's the only thing I can speak to.
Okay, so, so I'm gonna ask the surveyor. Because you know this, the plating law, 515.
505.
505, sorry, 515 is condominiums and townhouses, apologize. So, and we didn't check we haven't looked at our subdivision ordinance. So my question to you is, given that all we're doing is taking lot 1 and changing it to outlot C, do you believe under the statute that we have the authority to turn this around that quickly without going through a public hearing process? I mean, we've gone through that already.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
Because that's gonna be one of the things that Damien and I are gonna have to look at.
right. I was just gonna say I'm dabbling into Damien's territory a little bit with
No.
legal interpretation of the statute, but I did have that conversation this afternoon with Keenan Hayes and Doug at the county. As far as, you know, I have to notify them of the change
Yep.
because we have to record with them.
Yep,
And I figured we'd be having a conversation tonight about it here. And then I talked to the county surveyor as well, so. Everybody that I talked to said, in their opinion, it's fine as long as the lot sizes or the parcel sizes and things and configuration doesn't change. If
Yep.
you're changing a lot number to an outlot, I guess the consensus was it was fine.
And that's kind of my interpretation from memory. Now it's been 3.5 years since I've been actively doing zoning authority stuff.
She's a former Keenan.
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
former, yeah.
Our legal-
Actually, my position was, combined Keenan and Doug, so,
Yeah, right.
um,
And a couple others.
yeah.
Our legal counsel weighed in on it and said since it was a technicality and not substantial
Yeah, it's not a substantive change.
substitute, yeah.
I would recommend that the council essentially accept this solution. And then that resolves when the fees get paid and how many of the fees there are to be paid. And then we're gonna have to quickly get a hold of folks to get those Mylars signed. And when they come. So that they can
Who's
release.
the sign, Mayor?
There, me, Damian, Mary Lou, Scott Moeller, pardon me. I believe Scott is the chair of the planning commission, yeah. He should be, but I'll have to email him. Or have Mary Lou call.
So we have two things I think that we have to approve. We have to approve the change. And we also have to approve the signatures.
No, the signatures aren't, you just need to approve accepting the technical revision to the plat at Princeton Residential Suites.
And they've already been, so the signatures are already authorized then.
Yeah, once you approve it, once you accept the change, then you're essentially then authorizing execution of the plat.
So the second paragraph is basically saying he's gonna pay the water and sewer fees, but with WSB, he's paying it for 6-inch.
Correct,
And
but
then WSB, if they say no, it needs to be 8, then
he'll pay
at
the
that
extra.
time, then he'll pay
Yep.
the additional.
So we'll be basically made whole for phase 3.
It is the solution to the issue. What we haven't brought with. Yeah, that's probably the best solution actually, so. Yeah.
All right.
There's no messy stuff for later
No,
then.
there's no messy stuff for later on.
Well, I'm super happy you got that done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would like to make a motion to accept, the change of the plat, block 1 to outlot C, no, block 2, lot 2, block 1 from the original plat to replace it with an outlot C.
Second.
Mr. Motion made in second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. You will have signatures, at least 3 out of the 4 by 10 o'clock. We're hoping for 4.
I have one more question for you, Pat. Do you need that TIF agreement amended tomorrow, or can we do that? Because that is gonna have to run back through council. We can do that next Thursday.
Yeah, and that's simple. That's just exhibit.
Yeah, we just need to change the exhibit.
Yeah.
I just need to check with Tammy and or Mary to see if we need to change any of the dollar schedules in there. All right?
Yep.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Are you gonna have them here at 10 or like around 9?
We can do either or. We're picking them up at 8 AM in Minneapolis.
Whatever works. I just want to make sure that it's
We were
here
gonna-
when people start showing up. So we're gonna plan on being here by 10 o'clock at the latest to sign, or plan on signing at 10 o'clock.
We'll tell people to come at 10.
Because we were gonna bring them to Bogert Peterson first.
Yep.
Greg can sign them.
So,
Bring them over here and then go to the vote.
yep. So we'll plan on telling people to be here by 10 to sign.
Okay,
And if you're here earlier, those of us that are here will sign immediately, and then we'll make sure that whoever else is here
Okay, it'll be Greg from US Bank that'll be coming.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, do we want to adjourn? Or do you still want to be in the?
Is there anything else anybody wants to say on the issue? Otherwise, we can take a motion to adjourn. Motion made second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?